The movie begins with a mysterious scene as a young man, exhausted and delirious, washes up on a desolate beach. He gazes at two young children playing in the sand briefly before losing consciousness. An armed guard discovers him and conveys the stranger to a grand seaside palace, where he's presented to an elderly Japanese man who oversees the estate. The stranger, disoriented and weak, possesses only a handgun and a curious brass top. The elderly man, intrigued, allows the stranger entry and offers him some food. As he examines the brass top, he utters, "You remind me of someone, a man I met in a half-remembered dream." He was possessed of some radical notions. The stranger's expression shifts as he contemplates the implications of these words. This enigmatic opening scene sets the stage for a complex narrative that weaves through dreams and reality. The story then shifts to introduce Dom Cobb and his partner, Arthur, who meet with a prospective client, Sato. They discuss their unique services, protection against thieves who specialize in extracting valuable information from people's dreams. Cobb, a highly skilled extractor, explains the vulnerability of the mind during sleep and his ability to defend against extractors by training the subconscious. Sato, initially skeptical, contemplates Cobb's proposal and eventually departs to join a party within the palace. However, this party takes a surreal turn as the room begins to shake. Cobb realizes that something is amiss and sets out to address the situation. It becomes clear that Sato's secrets are the target of their operation. Cobb confronts a woman at the party, identified as Mel, who has a complicated history with him. They retreat to a private room, and tension fills the air as they discuss their past and their inability to trust each other. Cobb prepares for a daring maneuver as he ties a rope to a chair and descends from a window ledge, attempting to access a hidden safe. The situation intensifies when Mal and Sato reveal that they are all within a shared dream. They are connected to a device called a PASIV that allows them to enter a shared dream state. This realization kicks off a mind-bending sequence of events, blurring the line between reality and the dream world. As the dream world begins to collapse and chaos ensues, Cobb and his team must navigate through a multi-layered dreamscape, confront their own inner demons, and plant an idea deep within the mind of their target, Robert Fisher. The concept of Inception, the planting of an idea in someone's subconscious, forms the crux of their mission. As the team delves deeper into the intricate layers of dreams within dreams, the stakes continue to rise. Eames assumes the identity of Peter Browning, Robert's godfather and business partner, to gain insights into the father-son dynamic. They plan to plant a positive idea in Robert's mind, convincing him to split up his father's company, emphasizing the notion that my father wants me to be my own man. Sato, overseeing the mission, accompanies the team as a tourist to ensure full verification of success or failure. With meticulous preparations over several weeks, Arthur introduces Ariadne to the concept of totems, personal objects that help individuals distinguish between dreams and reality. Cobb's totem is a spinning top, Arthur's is a loaded die, and Ariadne crafts a unique bishop chess piece as her own totem. To maximize the time within the dream, the team plans to execute the Inception during a 10-hour international flight from Europe to Los Angeles, taking advantage of the week they'll have in the dream's first level. Sato reveals that he has bought the entire airline, simplifying their mission without the need to secure specific sections of the plane. However, the team faces unexpected challenges, including Ariadne's exploration of Cobb's memories and his profound guilt over the death of his wife, Mal. Ariadne emphasizes the need for Cobb to release this guilt and seeks his permission to join the team in their shared dreams. As the team boards the flight with Robert Fisher, they initiate the mission, drugging Robert, and descending into a dream within a dream created by Yusuf. In this layered dream world, the team faces a series of obstacles, including a sudden train blocking their path, a harrowing chase, and an ambush by defense projections from Robert's subconscious. Amid the chaos, Sato is shot, and the team faces a grim revelation. Due to the sedatives they've taken, death in the dream will not wake them. Instead, they will be sent to limbo, a shared dream state of raw subconscious. As the armed forces close in, the team is left with little choice but to forge ahead, racing against time to complete the mission before it's too late. Ariadne and Cobb's conversation in the dream continues, with Cobb revealing the tragic history of his relationship with Mal. He explains that their experimentation with dream states led them to limbo, a shared subconscious realm where time seemed to stand still. They spent what felt like decades there, shaping their own reality, only to eventually find a way back to the real world. However, Mal became convinced that the real world was just another layer of the dream, leading her to take her own life. Cobb was accused of her murder, and due to the overwhelming evidence against him, he had to leave his children behind and flee the country. Ariadne tries to console Cobb, telling him that Mal's death was not his fault, but he remains haunted by his guilt. The team presses forward with their mission to perform Inception on Robert Fisher, despite the looming threats. Eames assumes the role of Peter Browning. Cobb and Arthur interrogate Robert, and Ariadne watches as they apply psychological pressure to make Robert question his father's intentions. As the team faces the approaching danger, Robert reluctantly reveals a combination for a safe that supposedly contains an alternate version of his father's will. However, they soon realize that they need to complete the mission quickly to avoid detection. With Sato wounded, they venture deeper into the dreamscape, encountering a complex and dangerous world with various obstacles. Arthur orchestrates the team's movements within the dream as they struggle to maintain their mission's secrecy. In the midst of these challenges, the team races against time to perform Inception on Robert, attempting to plant the idea that he should break up his father's company. As the dream levels stack up, Yusuf, the van driver in the first dream, takes actions that create kicks, or synchronized events that are meant to wake the team up from the dream. Meanwhile, Arthur faces peril in the second dream level, where the loss of gravity becomes a challenge. The team manages to reach the third dream level, a snow-covered mountain fortress, where the real safe containing the critical information is guarded. As they approach the final phase of their mission, the team faces various obstacles, including Arthur's efforts to orchestrate the synchronized kicks and the urgency of Sato's deteriorating health. In the mountain fortress, the team is determined to unlock the safe and plant the idea in Robert's mind. As the mission takes a dramatic turn, Sato succumbs to his injuries, leaving him coughing up blood while Robert continues onward. Just as Robert comes into Cobb's view, an unexpected intruder appears. Mal drops in from the ceiling and shoots Robert. Cobb regains his composure and shoots Mal, and Eames is summoned to the scene. Cobb and Ariadne rush to the site, only to find Robert dead. Cobb deems the mission a failure since the only place Robert can go now is Limbo. Ariadne, however, persuades Cobb to attempt to find Robert in Limbo, convinced that they can bring him back. Eames agrees to use a defibrillator to jumpstart Robert's heart, allowing Cobb and Ariadne to venture into Limbo. Meanwhile, in Dream Level 2, Arthur hatches a unique plan. He ties the team together with phone wires and brings them into an elevator. He lines the exterior of the elevator car with explosives, intending to use the explosive force to create gravity and trigger a kick. In Limbo, Cobb and Ariadne explore the decaying world they once constructed. They come across old homes and buildings, eventually finding the one where Cobb believes Mal must be. They assume that if they locate Mal, they can find Robert, as Mal would want to use something Cobb desires to draw him to her. Inside the apartment, Mal awaits them and once again tries to persuade Cobb that his place is with her in their imagined real home with their children. Cobb reveals a grim truth: the reason Mal believed her dreams were reality. In Limbo, Cobb had manipulated her totem, the spinning top, to make her believe that her dream was not real. This manipulation caused her to question reality even after they had returned to the real world. Cobb's guilt over Mal's death has tormented him ever since, and he admits that he used the same technique to perform Inception on her as he plans to do on Robert. Cobb tells Mal that he will stay with her in Limbo if she reveals Robert's location, and she discloses that he's on the porch. Ariadne finds Robert on the porch and pushes him off as an improvised kick. Robert revives in Dream Level 3 with Eames' assistance and opens the safe to find an image of his bedridden father muttering his last words. Robert realizes that his father was disappointed not because he couldn't be him, but because he attempted to do so. The will is in the safe, and Robert also discovers a paper fan his father made for him as a child. Overwhelmed with emotion, he looks up to see that his father has passed away just as the van in the first dream level hits the water. In Dream Level 2, Arthur triggers the detonator, causing the explosives to force the elevator down, creating artificial gravity for the team. In Dream Level 3, a series of explosions set by Eames shake the fortress, causing the main floor to collapse. In Limbo, as the synchronized kicks tug at Ariadne, she urges Cobb to join her. Cobb is determined to stay in Limbo, but not with Mal. By this time, Sato has also passed away and entered Limbo. Cobb promises to return and leaps off the side of the building, following the kicks back to Dream 1. In the van, Robert awakens and escapes the submerged vehicle with Browning. Arthur and Ariadne share an oxygen tank with Yusuf before making their way out of the van, leaving Cobb behind. As the intense mission comes to a close, Robert and Browning reach the shore. Robert, now understanding his father's true wishes, decides to be his own man and liquidate his father's company. Eames, knowing the mission is a success, discards the Browning mask. In the limbo, Cobb washes ashore and is discovered by the armed guard. He is taken to the seaside palace where the elderly Japanese man recognizes his brass top. Cobb remembers the purpose of his visit and implores Sato to come back with him and fulfill their agreement. The elderly Sato reaches for Cobb's gun. Cobb awakens on the airplane and looks around in surprise to see Arthur and Ariadne smiling at him. He glances at the now awake Sato, who remembers their deal and promptly dials a phone. The plane lands in Los Angeles, and Cobb nervously proceeds through customs. Security checks his passport and grants him entry, welcoming him back home. Cobb passes by the rest of the team and Robert, who briefly pauses as if recalling a half-remembered dream. Ahead of him, Cobb notices Miles calling him over. They drive home together, and once they arrive, Cobb hesitates before taking out his brass top. He places it on the table in the kitchen and gives it a spin. Just as he does, he sees his children appearing at the back door. Overjoyed to see their faces again, Cobb rushes to greet them, and the top continues to spin on the table, wobbling slightly. The film invites us to contemplate the power of ideas, the boundaries of the subconscious,